Welcome back, horror fans, cinephiles, and giallo enthusiasts. This is Tanner Leeser, your host for all things giallo here on The King in Giallo. Our next stop on our journey through giallo cinema is the second giallo film from Duccio Tessari, The Bloodstained Butterfly, released in 1971. This video is an edited down version. Herein, you will find the overview portion of the full-length video. Coming next week will be the complete deep dive with the review and GialliTally. This video may be watched without any spoilers. Here is The Bloodstained Butterfly Overview. The Bloodstained Butterfly is an Italian and West German co-production. The film is directed by Duccio Tessari, who also co-wrote the film along with Gianfranco Cleric and an uncredited Edgar Wallace. Music is composed by Gianni Ferrio. The cast is comprised of Helmut Berger as Giorgio, Giancarlo Sbragia as Alessandro Marchi, Ida Galli, billed as Evelyn Stewart, as Maria Marchi, Günther Stoll as attorney Giulio Cordaro, Wendy D'Olive as Sarah Marchi, Silvano Tranquilli as Inspector Berardi, and Wolfgang Preiss as the prosecutor. The plot follows the aftermath of a young woman's murder in a public park. Numerous witnesses, albeit unreliable, identify a well-known local TV personality, Alessandro Marchi, as observed fleeing the crime scene immediately following the commotion. The young French student is no stranger to Marchi. In fact, she is a close friend of his own daughter. As a lengthy trial pivots from seemingly guilty to victim of circumstance, back over again, Sandro is inevitably condemned as the murderer. It's not long before more bodies are discovered in eerily similar circumstances, provoking the convicted Sandro's release and a new investigation to be performed. The film opens with Tchaikovsky's Piano Concerto No. 1 to powerful effect, setting the tone and giving us a wonderful atmosphere. The piece of music was utilized a year earlier for the opening of the more comedically toned giallo, The Weekend Murders, 1970, and the usages display how the same piece of music can be used in completely different fashion to set wildly different tones. Following his first giallo, Death Occurred Last Night, 1970, Duccio Tessari seems eager to hop back in the saddle and direct yet another crime thriller. Both gialli are rather morbid, and this one boasts a complex and labyrinthine structure as it navigates through the present, into the past, and employs flashbacks and flashbacks within flashbacks. Temporal continuity and structure take a backseat in this film as we navigate the circuitous landscape of past events mixed in with memory, forensic conjecture, and eyewitness testimony. For example, two characters talking in a public space after one of them has testified in court earlier, then the next day in court shows that testimony unfolding, then flashing back to the public scene between the two where they had discussed what was said under oath. The film's opening quotation during the credits exemplifies this perfectly, stating, quote, "The past does not exist, in that it has already gone. The future does not exist either, as it has yet to come. Therefore, only the present exists, but it can be made up of both the past and the future because it is the point where they meet." Keeping with the opening of the film, the program makes use of on-screen labels for each of the major characters during its preliminary montage set to Tchaikovsky. We meet all the characters, are informed on their names and their relationships. This person is so-and-so's mother and so-and-so's wife. Upon one's first viewing, this feature immediately becomes daunting, as the film feels it necessary to give you this knowledge right away. I have no problem with this, as I feel it is better for the movie itself to give us this information versus horrible exposition dialogue where characters might declare their relations to each other in the most unnatural ways for the audience's benefit.
As your brother.
And with how dense and fast-paced this movie can be at times, it is nice to know this information on the characters from the jump, so the movie doesn't have to hold your hand, but also so you don't feel lost when things start moving very quickly. This makes subsequent viewings very rewarding. After you know the ultimate ending of the movie, you can see the skill involved in the assembly of all these seemingly disparate pieces into the narrative. The only potential negative aspect I can glean from this method is it sort of shows its hand at who might be an important player in the plot moving forward. Not in terms of revealing who the killer is, but just how chief certain characters might be in the story, who otherwise, without such an introduction, you might assume wouldn't receive as much on-screen time and character development. For me, I wasn't surprised when we started following a character who seemed unrelated to the plot surrounding the murder, as they were introduced during the opening, so I assumed they were going to be explored in depth at some point. Tessari's gialli seem to be in line with one another. Their tones are both melancholic, and the grimy circumstances that do unfold, particularly between the characters, such as betrayals, affairs, and secret dealings, come across less as simply dramatic dressing and more as highlighting the realistic complexity of humans, their relationships, and the lives they lead in concert with one another. This is arguably perfected in the climax scene of the film, which is able to answer the major dramatic question whilst revealing an emotional yet logical explanation of one's actions that coalesces in such a dramatically satisfying way. The directing, the script, as well as the editing by Gian Maria Masseri joined forces to convey a masterfully constructed mystery, which can only be described as a jigsaw puzzle and its pieces, which at first seem unrelated until they are pieced together to show a new truth. Working in tandem with these cinematic elements is the score, which is able to utilize the piece from Tchaikovsky, then segue seamlessly into music more indicative of the giallo genre. This never feels like it's being shoehorned in, but keeping with the aforementioned comparison, feels like two pieces of a puzzle that happen to fit together perfectly. Helmut Berger leads the cast. The Austrian actor and pop icon entered the limelight in the 1960s, being the muse and paramour of his director and mentor, Lucio Visconti, who worked with Berger in several films, which cemented his career, beginning with a minor role in Visconti's episode in the anthology film The Witches, 1967, before moving on to more substantial parts in feature-length films. The Damned, 1969, Ludwig, 1972, and Conversation Piece, 1974. Despite their rocky relationship being full of drama and always being the center of scandalous tabloids, Berger was able to always find work thanks to his striking appearance and captivating presence. Other noteworthy roles of his include Dorian Gray, 1970 by Massimo Dallamano, Beast with a Gun, 1977 by Sergio Grieco, as well as working with acclaimed Italian neo-realist director Vittorio De Sica in The Garden of Finzi con Denise, 1970, and auteur director Joseph Losey in The Romantic Englishwoman, 1975. After Visconti died in 1976, Berger's path in the industry was marred by more turbulent choices and roles on his part, and his promise of being a serious actor on screen became outshined by him being a sensational figure off-screen. Despite Berger's character in Butterfly not being super prevalent for the first act, he makes excellent use of the scenes he's in and the bits he's given, and likely has the most memorable moments in the entire film. He would go on to appear in a pseudo-giallo hybrid film, Scorpion's Kiss, 1989. Berger was a sex symbol and an it boy whose bisexual lovers included the likes of actresses American Marissa Berenson, Swedish Britt Ekland, Swiss Ursula Andress, French Natalie Delon, Brazilian Florinda Bolkan, American Linda Blair, Austrian Marissa Mell, Italian-German Anita Pallenberg, Italian Mary-Lou Tolo, American Jerry Hall, as well as American actor Tab Hunter, Soviet ballet dancer Rudolf Nureyev, Spanish pop idol Miguel Bosé, and both Bianca and Mick Jagger. Other giallo veterans in the cast include Ida Galli, Silvano Tranquilli, Günther Stoll, and Wolfgang Preiss. Interestingly, during the pre-production, the film was promoted as an Edgar Wallace adaptation, but less than 2 weeks before they began principal photography, the West German studios Rialto Film, and Constantine Film, who were both co-producing the film, had pulled out for unknown reasons. With their exit left any reference to or mention of Edgar Wallace. However, the presence of Stoll and Preiss, both veterans in Rialto krimi films adapted from Edgar Wallace novels, remained the surviving connection of the film's West German ties. Thank you for watching this overview-only video. Don't miss the full overview, review, and GialliTally for The Bloodstained Butterfly next week. As of right now, it doesn't seem that the movie is streaming anywhere, but is available on DVD and Blu-ray from Arrow Video. Don't forget to like this video and join me next week to see the rest of this review. Comment your predictions for the AZ score for the movie and the final GialliTally score. Thank you very much for your continued support. This is Tanner Leeser for The King in Giallo, and if nothing else, I'll see you next time.
Piantala. Ma che meni, ma che sei matto sei, oh?